Let's begin with the good, the bad, and the ugly from the second night of the DNC. There was some good. And not only AOC. AOC was great. I'm going to play her speech, which was over just like a minute and 10 seconds. Jill Biden, it was a great speech. I know it's very easy. The easy thing for us to do is to find a way to stay angry. But I can't be mad at that speech that she gave last night. Not in good faith. It was a brilliant effing speech. And I'll play a portion of it and explain that. The bad was just really how they juxtaposed the empathy and the compassion that Jill Biden successfully conveyed. They juxtaposed that with American imperialism with not Steve Kerry, but John Kerry and Colin Powell. Right. I thought that was pretty disgusting. But it really shows you and tells you what and who America really is. The ugly from last night, 100% would be the amount of people who have no clue about how this system works and why it was that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez nominated Bernie Sanders last night. And a lot of people who purport to be politicos. And, they do this for a living, had no idea, and they were upset, and they went on Twitter tirades about it. And then the media, who should know better, or at least even if they didn't know instantaneously why she did it, they have journalistic best practices, which means going to research so that you could get some understanding as to why she did it. But that didn't stop them from running disingenuous bad faith headlines attacking her and then having to go back and correct it. So there was the good, the bad, the ugly. Let's begin with the good. Here is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, her entire speech, because like I said, it was only a minute long.
Good evening, bienvenidos, and thank you to everyone here today endeavoring towards a better, more just future for our country and our world. In fidelity and gratitude to a mass people's movement working to establish 21st century social, economic, and human rights, including guaranteed health care, higher education, living wages, and labor rights for all people in the United States. A movement striving to recognize and repair the wounds of racial injustice, colonization, misogyny, and homophobia, and to propose and build reimagined systems of immigration and foreign policy that turn away from the violence and xenophobia of our past. A movement that realizes the unsustainable brutality of an economy that rewards explosive inequalities of wealth for the few at the expense of long-term stability for the many, and who organized a historic grassroots campaign to reclaim our democracy. In a time when millions of people in the United States are looking for deep, systemic solutions to our crises of mass evictions, unemployment, and lack of health care, en el espíritu del pueblo, and out of a love for all people, I hereby second the nomination of Senator Bernard Sanders of Vermont for President of the United States of America.
Now, what was extremely bad faith was the fact that she was the second. She was a person to second the nomination. So she wasn't the person who entered his name into nomination. Now, for all the intentionally obtuse people, just so I can give you an example, I always talk about bad faith actors, right? I want to give you an example of how all these mainstream media outlets, including MSNBC, who I was on Monday night, and maybe I'll get an invitation back, or maybe I don't, whatever, ABC, a lot of different platforms in bad faith put out headlines making it seem like that was a controversial moment. Twofold reason why they would do that. One, rage clicks. They need those clicks, get those ad revenue dollars up. Number two, because they are there to protect the establishment. And anything that they can do to do that, they get a little, a few more brownie points with the power structure, the current power structure. So she wasn't even the person to enter his name into nomination. She seconded the nomination. So everyone, and then even before that began, they set it up, letting everybody know that there were two people who qualified to have their names introduced into the convention for the purposes of nomination. This is a standard practice, and I absolutely know, without a shadow of a doubt, there were enough context clues so that even if you didn't realize that, you could have put two and two together. So there's not a single headline that is out there right now that is in good faith that makes this seem like it was any type of controversy. It was either one, rage clicks, because they got that from a lot of, I don't know if they're even well-meaning at this point, but a lot of liberals who are like, oh my God, I can't stand AOC. Oh, I can't believe she did that. The nerve. This is Joe Biden's night. So they capitalize on that. It's a feedback loop of bad faith actions and obtuseness that is quite profitable, as well as profitable in terms of finances, but profitable in terms of protecting the establishment status quo. Now, in terms of what she said, I appreciated what she said. I honestly, like, if you're watching the video, you saw she looked, dare I say, presidential. She looked presidential with the flags behind her. Her suit was popping, right? I love the color. I love the poise. The only thing I didn't like was that the teleprompter wasn't precisely in line with the camera. I'm being really nitpicky at this point because I've done teleprompter work, and I know when your teleprompter is right in line with your camera and when it's just off to the side. But considering that it was just off to the side, which is completely immaterial to everybody else, so I'm admitting that it's completely immaterial. I'm just saying, for me personally, whoever set up her teleprompter needed to do just a little bit better job so she didn't have to work so hard. I saw her eyes doing her very best to focus on the camera while her words were just, I think, to the left of her. Besides that, she looked presidential, and she is the future of the party, and not her specifically and by herself individually, but there's a new movement that's coming in the Democratic Party on the face of this planet, this entire country. Like, it's not even just about the Democrats. Whether or not it takes place in the Democratic Party remains to be seen. I'm of the opinion that they're ultimately, for people like AOC and the rest of them to maintain their progressive integrity and their integrity in general, is that they're going to find themselves having to fight the Democratic Party, especially if they win, and especially if they get their way with consolidating Republicans into the Democratic Party. Progressives are going to have to leave. But whether they stay in the Democratic Party or leave, the fact of the matter is that they are the future of politics in this country.